Hello, my name's Mike M0MSN, and thank you for tuning into the channel. I was looking through the internet today in fact, and I came across an antenna that I used to have in the 1970s, the late 70s and the early 80s, by the name of the SKYLAB. And if I remember correctly, it was something like a Starburst or something. Anyway, I thought, do you know what? I'll have a go at making one of those. And this is what I've done. Back in the kitchen, familiar position. Right. The SKYLAB. The SKYLAB antenna was basically a vertical diapo with three ground planes, if that's the right way of putting it. Let me try to explain. The SKYLAB antenna was an absolute fabulous 1970s, early 80s antenna for CB, and it consisted of a vertical radiator and three, I can't really draw that in particularly well, as you can appreciate, ground planes, I suppose, and they were connected at about the midway point with another stabilizing bar. To be fair, the stabilizing bar wasn't there for anything other than to stabilize the legs from wobbling around in the wind and the rain. It was mounted on a pole in the center section here. So these were literally just flying around to the elements, hence the stabilizing triangle. So anyway, so how are we going to build ours? Well, we're going to have our coax coming in as usual. Here we go, my less than perfect picture of some coax and the center core. The center core will go to the vertical element, and we're going to suspend three elements from our shield. Okay, this is the shield, and then we're going to put it out on a DX commander. So here we go. Let's build our SKYLAB antenna. Fabulous piece of kit. So we're going to build this for the 27 megahertz 11 meter band for CB use, and first of all we're going to need to know how long we need our elements. And we're going to build basically a half wave diapo or a quarter wave ground plane diapo. Well, yeah, you've just seen what I've drawn. So I'm going to make the driven element black and the ground planes in red to make it obvious what's happening, and we need to know how long they are. So let's go to our calculator and work out exactly how long our legs are going to be. So okay, let's get our brain into action. To work out the lengths, we use the magic figure of 300. That is the speed of light, and then we're going to divide the frequency, which is 27.500. Let's call the middle of the band, which gives us I'll then divide that by 4 so that we get the individual quarter wave, and that equals 2.72 meters. Okay, but we need to now to take into factor its velocity factor, which we'll call 0.96. So we need to times that by 0.96, which will give us 2.6 or thereabouts. 2.6 meters. Okay, so each element or leg, both the driven element and all three of the legs, need to be 2.6 meters in length. That's our starting point. So that's what I'll measure out now. 2.6 meters times 4. Okay, so let's get some cable. Like I said, it could be red legs. 1, 2. I'm going to make this 70 because I don't want to do something with the top. So 7, and that's going to be our legs. So we just need to cut that 2 more times. Good. Next of our ground plane. Just need to do a driven element now. Lost in repeater. 1, 2, 0.6. And here we are. 3 ground planes, 1 driven element. Did you get it? Okay. Okay, so we've made our loops, and the loop is the same diameter as the part of the pole that we want to stop at. I'll explain that a bit later. So now we need to do is put our loops at 120 degrees apart, so that we can basically solder our top element. Right, so they should all basically meet at one point, which looks like it's going to quite happily. Don't know if that makes any sense. Anyway, look, let's strip the top of these, sew them all together, and then hopefully you'll understand where I'm going. Very simple job here. Just going to split the coax down. Quickly solder up the shield. That's looking good. Sounds like CG's going mad in the background. Okay, let's shrink that back and let it cure. And let's do some very obvious tests to make sure it's not shorted. Excellent. So that's pretty perfect, to be honest. So the only thing to do now is to mount it on our pole and to spread it out and see if it works. Well, perhaps SWR it and see if it works. Okay, so that's the next bit of fun. Got a DX Commander pole. It could be a buddy pole. It could be a. It could be any fiberglass pole. To be honest with you, and what I've done is I've connected 2.6 meters of ordinary flex, if you like, to the center of a coax, and then the braid of the coax has been connected to 3 times 2.6 meter lengths of household wiring. I've done it in black and red so that it stands out a bit more for you guys to see, and I've put a loop in the top of every single ground plane so that when I put it over the DX Commander or a buddy pole or whatever, they can act in the same way as you would guide poles, and I'll show you that in a moment. That obviously then connects to the shield, and then the shield, the coax runs down the pole to a SO239 a little bit further down. Then I'll put this out now and use the ground planes as the start of the guidelines, and we'll see what I'm getting at. Right, it's quite close to my other aerial. Not overly, but quite close to. It's not quite straight either. But the ground planes form part of the guying system, as you can see. So let's go and test the SWR. Okay, let's have a look. 28.1. Let's take it down as far as we go. 28.2. And we'll just have a quick see what it's like. Oh, there we go. What I'll do now, I think, is I'll get the the MFJ SWR meter out, the antenna analyzer, and we'll see what it's like on the CB bands. Okay, let's just select the right band. Let's go to 27 megahertz. And we should see it start creeping in a moment, I think. So it starts being, my goodness, it starts being usable at 25 or 26 megahertz. And it's super usable. Oh, just about our target figure. There you go, look, 27.4. Is it getting any lower? No, 27.4 with impedance of 54. So I could actually play with the ground planes a little bit, move them in and out to get that 100%, but that's happy. Anyway, still going up. So I needed to go to the other setting, whack it all the way down. 30. So on 30 megahertz on the nose, it starts being usable again, all the way down to, well, we know it's usable at 26, so that is a real wide band antenna. Fabulous. Look at that. Apart from my son making a noise, it's absolutely fabulous. Well, we'll see what it's like. Clear without any issues whatsoever, Gary. Your radio 5 S9 signal 9, so lovely 59.
All right. Well, on my meter, you're 40 over. Perfectly clear. I would normally use my 10 meter element, my cobweb, but it's a bit iffy. I'm going to actually build another one, so I have to use my inverted L. But locally, it's working very well. Over.
Ah, Roger on that. So what are you using at the moment? Sorry, I didn't quite catch.
I've got an inverted L that I normally use for the low bands, and it tunes a bit better. The cobweb tunes well out of whack. Because I swapped the balun over and it put things out a little bit, and I readjusted things, but 10 meters has always been a bit of a peaky one anyway, and it doesn't tune up very well now, over.
Yeah, all copied and understood. Well, I'm using a I just made a SKYLAB, the old CB aerial from the 70s stroke early 80s, and I've just made one for 10 and for 11, and I thought I'd give it a test, and it seems to work incredibly well. Back to you.
Yeah, well, it sounds fine, really. I suppose the test is to see how far you can hear on it, but as I say, locally, it's a stonking signal. I'm running 100 watts. I don't know what you are. I turned it up to the max to make sure I could get out of it.
Roger on that. I'm using 10. About that.
Yeah, I could probably turn mine down then. But really good. A damn sight better than all that repeater that I'm receiving, over.
There we go. Cracking. I'm speaking to the Grant. So what I built today was a SKYLAB, and if anyone knows what that is, it's basically a three-legged dipo antenna, and I'm using it now. So how's it getting across to you, Paul?
Yes, it's 20 plus, nice clear signal. Yes, wouldn't know any different. I thought you were on your main aerial.
Oh, well, there we go then. Yeah. Actually, do you know what? It's on the end of a DX commander, so it's only about 3 meters or 4 meters below the top of the Skymaster. The problem is I can't switch across to the Skymaster because I haven't got the Coax connected to it because I've used it for this. But there we are. So yeah, that's good stuff. It's working wonderfully. Its SWR is near to 0 from 26 megahertz all the way through to 30. So I'm really impressed with that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, but it's flying a good signal straight through. It's nice and clear as well. There's no crackling or anything with it, and you're a fair way from me. Yeah,
fair play on that. And of course, using the Grant, I'm only putting out 6 watts. Is it? That's the max, isn't it, on one of these things?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Well, there you go. So I'm really, really happy with it, mate. It's wonderful.
Yeah. But see if we can get a bit further and reach into the middle of the town.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. Who's that in the middle of town anyway? Is that Uncle John?
Uncle John's out there, yeah. John is out.
Yeah, not too bad. I said that you're coming through on an 8 with a little bit of noise with you.
Well, that's not too surprising with 6 watts or whatever these things put out, 4 watts or 5 watts. I don't know what it is. Yeah, that's good stuff. Anyway, you're nice and clean and green to me.
I always am, and I was just running standard power as usual.
Yeah, I know, but that kilowatt burner is doing a real good job.
Yeah, don't you mean 5 kilowatt?